Hello everyone, you are welcome to the journey of my life, phase 1. I am Pastor Uche Etiaba, also known as Lorech, but most recently known as P. Uche Etiaba. I am the third of 8 wonderful children born to Mr. and Mrs. SPC Ebuna. I was born in a hospital called Iyenu Teaching Hospital in Ogidi in Anambra State. That's what my mom says. I don't know about that. I wasn't there. Oh well, growing up, I had a very solid Christian background, although it is said that I was a very mischievous child. Now, I don't know who started that allegation, but that's what I was told, that I was very mischievous. But maybe it's because of some of the things that happened growing up. I'm going to give you some examples. One time in the house, I was declared missing for some hours. They searched everywhere they could, but nobody just found me. But guess what? After several hours of search, I was found in our neighbor's house. Not just in the house, I was in her clothing box, in her wardrobe, right inside her bedroom. I was having a nap, for crying out loud. So why was everybody looking for me? But oh well, I was recovered back to my house with a little bit of scolding though. Another thing that I was accused of being as a child, I was said to be an active dodger. Can you imagine, sweet me, an active dodger as a child? Well, maybe because I just happened to love the soft life right from time. Okay, so it didn't start today. But every time there was a task to be done, Uche found a way to dodge. She just had to find a way to, have her own fun. So that's why they called me an active dodger. But no matter how mischievous they say I was, I know that I have always been a very nice little girl. All right? Let me give you an instance. My elder sister, the one just before me, I'm not going to call her name because I know that right after this she's going to get at me. But she's right here with us. So she didn't used to like vegetables as a child. And my mom was one for forcing you to eat right. And so she used to lock us up in the kitchen, every now and again, and make her finish her vegetables. And when I look at my sister's pitiable face, I'll just be like, okay, bring the plate, let me help you. After people say I'm not nice. So I'll just help her finish the vegetables in her plate. And then I will shout, "Mommy, we finished." And my mom will come, open the door, and we'll show her the plate, clean and tidy. So I wasn't altogether mischievous. I was a nice little child. Now moving over to primary school, I attended Army Children's Primary School here in the city of Port Harcourt. And I have very beautiful memories of that school. But for some reason, there is this particular memory that stands out. It's interesting because it has nothing to do with academics. So my mom is someone who believed in fact, I'm wondering why my mom was not a teacher. She was a nurse. Because she brought us up like, she was a teacher. Very strict. She didn't used to give us money to go to school and buy things like every other child that we knew then, or most children that we knew then. She used to prepare the lunch for us. She would just prepare our lunch boxes and would have to go with whatever was in the lunch box. And you dare not complain. It's not like now when children have options. Oh, I don't like this, I want this. Nah. In my own time, no, nothing like that. You eat whatever is set before your table. Any witnesses in the house? Okay. So she used to prepare her lunch boxes, but there was this, for me it was a delicacy. Don't ask me how I knew. It just looked very inviting. At that time we used to call it diet. That's what it was called in the school, diet. I guess that is the modern day version of pancake. Alright, but for us then it was called diet. It was very tiny, it was very pink and very inviting. I think one of the days, maybe a friend of mine actually offered me some to eat, and I had it and it was really nice. So one day I decided I was going to buy this diet with money, my own money, somehow. Don't ask me where I was planning to get the money from. The Lord has filled my mouth with laughter. Make a joyful noise. What the Lord So on this fateful day, I decided, okay, this is the day of buying the diet, finally. And maybe I even wanted to show off to my friends and also buy for them. So on that day, I saw these coins, on top of my mom's dresser. And I decided, this is the day. It's got to happen today. So how was I going to take the money and go to school? I came up with an idea. I picked up one leg of my socks, put some grapes inside. We had this grape tree in the house. So I picked some little grapes, put in the socks, and then took the money, my mom's money, from her dresser and put inside the socks. And I was so ready to go to school that day, very excited. But guess what? On that fateful day, my mom decides to check me out before going to school. I didn't even put the grapes or the socks inside my bag. No, I just held it. I was swinging along, getting ready to leave. And my mom says, "What is in that socks?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing, mommy." And she says, "Bring it, let me see." You can imagine what happened to my heartbeat at the time, right? It stopped. I was about to be nabbed. And my mom just took the socks from me. She empties it and out roll the coins. And she's looking at me. I'm also looking at her. And she's like, "Hello." Caught in the very act. Even before I completed the mission, I was already caught. Imagine. Guess what happened to me? To show you how strict my mother was, I got the whooping of my life that morning. And school was bye-bye. I didn't attend school that day. That was it for that day. I'm even wondering, as I'm telling this story, if my mom remembers this incident, because I do. Somehow that's the childhood memory that stands out when I think about my primary school. So that's it, to show you how firm the Christian background I had was, or should I say is. And that actually formed my ideals, formed my values as I went off to secondary school. But you know what? When it was time for secondary school, I was very excited because I said to myself, "Uche, this is your opportunity to run as far as you can from this mom of yours who is so strict." So when the forms were brought, at the time, federal schools were just it, the federal government schools, whether boys, whether girls, whether mixed, but they were the elite school at the time. So when the forms were given to me, I decided I was going to pick the school that I felt sounded the farthest from Port Harcourt. Guess the two schools I picked: Federal Government College Langtang and then Federal Government Girls College Odogbolu. These are two schools very far away from the city of Port Harcourt, from River State. I was very excited. I was going to leave home, and just be on my own and not have my mom trying to tell me everything to do. My mom won't have any of that. She picks up the form, crosses out all my choices, and nicely picks Federal Government Girls College, Calabar. And that's where I went to. Well, it was still a bit far from home, but not too far for her to visit every time she wanted to visit. But I'm really happy that I went to Federal Government Girls College, Calabar. Why? Because that's where I actually got born again. And this was on the 29th of October, 1989. See, sometimes God's plans for us, we don't know entirely. But that's where I got born again. So there is every reason to be thankful to God that I attended Federal Government Girls College, Calabar. And something else, my singing actually also started in Federal Government Girls College, Calabar. Even if I didn't feel that I had a very good voice, but somehow the house mistress at the time felt that, Uche, you should represent us in this competition. There was this competition that was coming up, and that's how I was picked. I and another student. Well, we learned the song, we learned it. I did learn, and the rehearsals were somewhat okay. But guess what? I think a day or two before the main competition, I backed out. My nerves got the better part of me, and that's it. I backed out. And I still remember the house. I was in Mary Slessor house. The house came second in the competition. It was a music competition. I don't think my house mistress forgave me for a long time, because she just kept on saying, if you had been in the competition, maybe we would have won it, or we should have won it. But my dear, I didn't want to faint. I didn't want to pass out on stage. So that's just the way it went. So Federal Calabar was a very interesting place for me. I got born again, like I said, not because anybody preached to me, but because I had testimonies of some people, who were delivered of demons. In back in the day when I attended Federal Calabar, there were so many stories, all sorts of stories. The bush babies, the mummy water, Lady Koi Koi. I mean, all sorts of stories. But I'm just happy that all that is history and part of a good history for me, because I got born again during my stay in Federal Government Girls College, Calabar. Thank you. Watch out for part 2.